Hey everyone, welcome back to TYP. It's Megan again. I am making a shorter, more abridged version of my last video, um, which was called Letting Go of our Expectations, or kind of learning to leave our regrets behind, right? So the last video, I guess you could kind of tell if you watched it. It went in a direction I didn't expect it to go. Wound up working out some things on my own. And if you're going through something like this, or if you're struggling with regrets or the way that your life is turning out, then maybe that's cathartic for you. But I think for most people, this is probably going to be a little bit more helpful. The abridged version of letting go of our regrets and letting go of our expectations for what we thought our life was going to look like. So, the whole reason that this video came about, I actually found a really great quote, and it's from Queer Eye, but it's from Karama Brown, who's actually a trained psychotherapist. He's licensed and everything. And when I heard it, I thought it was really good. So I stopped the video, replayed it, and wrote it down really quickly. And that quote is, "If you have some breath in your body, that means you still have the ability to live your life and start doing the things you love." And I just think that's really applicable to pretty much everybody. Just because, and it's not just for people that are sick or people that are going through something traumatic. I think almost anybody can relate to this. Is whether it's been like your dream since childhood or different goals that you've set throughout your life. We just have this vision of how things are going to be. Like for me, it's like, right now I'm 35. And at this point, I thought, I have this house and I have 2 or 3 kids and, be really happy being a mom and, trying to juggle my career and, raising a family and everything like that. And that didn't work out for me. And if it's, I thought at this age I'd be married, or at this age I'd still be married. Or I thought I'd be farther along in my career, or I thought I'd be in a different career path altogether. Or, I thought that I'd be on track to sitting on a beach with my loved ones near retirement, or on a beach in Key West, or, up in a mountain house or whatever. Or, I thought I'd be a homeowner, and just things didn't work out. I think it's important for us to kind of take those visions and kind of grieve the life that we thought we'd have. And while still making an effort to move forward and to really, do the things we love and to try and make our life a life worth living and a happy life, even if it's not exactly what we thought it would be, right? So how do we do that? Good question. I'm still figuring that out myself. So a lot of this is for my benefit as well. But, how do we let go of our expectations and kind of get rid of the regret? And I think for a lot of us, regrets, I've had a few, right? Regrets are the tape that's playing back and forth in our head. The shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Like I shouldn't have taken that job. And if I didn't take that job, I'd be in a better place right now. Or I wish I didn't buy that house or move into that apartment. Or I wish I didn't meet that person. But regrets are in the past and we can't change them. Right? So, if I could, what I'm trying to do for myself is kind of taking those regrets and taking that vision of what I thought my life would look like, kind of acknowledging that and being like, okay, well, what can I do in my life moving forward that's still going to bring me happiness, even though it's not quite what I thought it would be, right? How do we do that? Well, let's move forward. Let's find out, right? So, I guess a little bit of my backstory. I'm not going to go in depth with it as I did um, the last video. Not at all. So my husband and I have been together for 12 years. And I always thought that I'd have a family. Just it was never really something I questioned that much. Um, but I knew pretty early on in while we were together, that it would be difficult for us to have our own kids. So in my 30s, we started looking into the idea of adoption, which for those of you that have been there is difficult. God bless you, right? Really difficult. And much more expensive than I anticipated. So we had found an adoption agency that was fairly local that we really liked. And our goal was to save up money so that we can get on the pre-list, the waiting list to get on the waiting list at the adoption agency. While we were doing that, I had an unexpected pregnancy. And before I even got myself to the doctor, it was gone. And it wasn't something, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody about it. And here I am telling everybody about it here, right? And it wasn't something I expected that would ever happen to us, that we'd be able to have our own kids. And I kind of put blinders on, moved quickly past it, and kind of took it as, this is good news that it happened. That means that it might happen again. And then I got sick. And for other people going through chemotherapy or some kind of infusions, especially at my age or later, chemo a lot of times takes away the ability for you to have your own kids, which is really unfortunate. And it's something we don't talk about. And I think with our regrets, also, when it comes to adoption, I learned that, at least through our agency that we were looking at, you had to be 5 years cancer-free to be eligible to adopt a kid. And for me, that would be very, very difficult, if not impossible. So kind of nixed the whole having a family thing right away, early into my illness and my diagnosis. And I think for us, especially in my case, that's when we replay the tape in my head. Like, this happened, and it really sucks. And it's so easy for us to be like, why didn't I have kids when I was 28 or 25 or 30 even? Like, oh my God, like, why didn't I do it sooner? Why was I dragging my feet? Why didn't we look into this? Why didn't we start saving money sooner? But that's regrets, right? We can't change them. We can't change the past. We can't go back there. Because if we could, everybody's life would be perfect, right? Or we'd at least attempt to have everybody's life be perfect. But we can't change it. So what do? Well, we can wallow in it, right? We can take that path. And I mean, I think we should grieve and we should mourn the loss of that expectation, right? So if it's a relationship that didn't work out, a marriage that didn't work out, a family that didn't work out, a career that didn't work out, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad about it and grieve it. And, sit with that regret for a little bit. Because it happened and we're human. But if we decide to move forward, right? If we have the ability to live our life, we can still do the things that we love, right? Even if it's not exactly what we thought it would be. So, how do we do that? I think talking about it in support groups like this, like a safe place where people will listen to you and not judge you, is a good first step. And that's why I'm doing it here. And if you'd like to do it, I would gladly be your safe space if you need it. So please reach out to me if you want to. All right. But Brene Brown, who, I'll bring her up all the time. But Brene Brown, a good quote from her is that shame grows in the dark. Shame grows in the things that we don't talk about. A lot of times, these things that we regret, not being able to have a family, having a miscarriage, not being able to adopt, getting sick, going through a relationship that didn't work out or an abusive relationship. That's something that we tend to keep in our head and we don't talk about. And then, the regret tape replays back and forth in our head, right? And sometimes regrets turn into shame because we have shame in the things that we don't talk about. And we shouldn't be ashamed of that. We shouldn't be ashamed of the things that didn't work out in our life. Because it's not a judgment. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a weak person. It just makes you a person. Everybody has failures in life. And if we talk about them, I think that shame shrinks. It brings light on what happened to you. And you can find support because a lot of people have gone through the same thing. And when you bring light to it and you feel supported, I think that shrinks the shame until it just disappears, right? Hopefully. That's one thing I advocate for is let go of your shame. Don't be ashamed of the way things happened in your life. You're here. You're dealing with it. You're moving forward. And that takes courage. It's not something to be ashamed about. You're a person. And you're dealing with it. Good for you, right? So for me, other than sharing it, sharing our stories and our regrets and, what we hoped our future would look like, what else can we do? Well, I've talked about this a lot before, and I'll talk about it again. Practicing gratitude, right? So if we kind of shift our expectations a little bit, right? So, in my case, I bought this house. I wanted to fill it with kids, and, have a family and help raise kids and go with that, help them through their lives for the next 20 years. That didn't work out for me, but if I shift my expectation a little bit and I kind of say, you know what, this happened to me and it sucks, but what in my life can I be grateful for, right? Let's practice some gratitude if you find that helpful for you. And practicing gratitude is something that I keep trying to practice because it is a practice. It doesn't come naturally to me. And I don't think it comes naturally to a lot of people because I think as we get older, we just, the world hardens us and we get a little bit more bitter, right? But, if we shift our expectations, how can we practice gratitude for the things in our life? So I can say to myself, at 35, I thought I'd have a couple of kids. And I thought, I'd be taking them to school, in the morning and going to work and, picking them up after school and, making lunches and going to soccer games and whatever. But what do I have in my life? I have a marriage. I'm married to somebody that I really love. That's awesome, right? Or, I have a really supportive family. Or, this house isn't filled with kids, but I have a house. I'm living. I have a roof over my head. I'm paying the rent or I'm paying the mortgage. Or, a lot of times when it comes to kids, how I like to practice gratitude is I think about the people in my life that have families, and how privileged I am to get to see them become parents and raise their kids. And I have a couple of really good friends that, are raising their kids and, are turning out to be really, really good parents. And watching them go through that is just so cool, right? And, having them be able to invite me into their lives so I can see them be parents and be a part of their kids' lives is just so cool. And I'm really grateful for that. And, it might not be what I expected, but it's something so cool that brings me so much joy, and watching my sister-in-law raise her kids and, just the access that she gives me so I can be Aunt Megan. I love being Aunt Megan. It's my favorite thing in the world. And, it's, what I thought would be the greatest thing in the world for me was if somebody called me mom, and that didn't happen. But guess what? Being Aunt Megan is really cool. And I get a lot of joy from that, right? And I hope there's something in your life that brings you as much joy as that. Because if we shift our expectations a little bit, we can really find a lot of happiness in where we are in our life. So if you're an aunt or an uncle, or, I've got a dog and a cat that I really, really love. And as silly as that sounds, taking my dog to the park and walking him and being a dog mom is something that really brings me joy. And don't be ashamed of that. It's the little things too. It doesn't have to be anything profound. Having a dog, having your cat, and, having them in your life and having them depend on you can bring a lot of fulfillment to people, and that's great. So, let's try and practice some gratitude, and hopefully that helps us move forward. Because this isn't, like I said, this isn't something we should be ashamed of. We're all just human. We're all just trying to figure it out. And also, not for nothing, right? You can also reframe some things like I don't have kids right now, and I don't have the family I thought I would have at this point, but I get to sleep past 6:00 on the weekends, right? Stuff like that. So finding the good in sometimes a crappy situation can sometimes be helpful, right? And this doesn't always work 100% of the time. It's been a practice for me, a practice. Gratitude and finding the good in things is something that I have to continually work on. But, let's work on it together, right? So, thank you for watching this today. And I hope that you found this helpful. And if you're going through something like this, if you're trying to let go of your regrets or the expectation of the way you thought your life would look, then, you're doing the work. Good on you, right? And if you want some support, comment on any of our platforms or send me an email, right? terminalyetpurposeful@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to be your supportive place if you need it, right? So everybody have a good night. Go do something nice for yourself. And I hope you have a really good week, okay? Bye.